Greetings, everyone. Welcome to my sketchbook. Before I get started with today's drawing, or to really finish up on yesterday's drawing, I want to acknowledge the passing of a musical icon. This is, I don't know, it was sad news when I heard this yesterday, and kind of a strange sort of thing. It was just, I don't know. Even right now, it's kind of like strange, but well, I want to show you an album because I don't know if people really get to see physical copies of things. You can go on the internet, of course, but I want to show you this copy that I have here. This is Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 and Odd Jobs. I'm going to open up the album here and pull out this sleeve. And you can see Dolly here. This is a punch clock and time cards. Check out this desk and a rotary phone. And you have a typewriter, and this must be some sort of like date stamp. Yeah, water cooler. And if we look on the back of this, there's Dolly who finally got home. The dog here. I don't know if this is a Cocker Spaniel. But yeah, look at the time here. I don't know if that's 7 minutes to 7 o'clock, but finally, end of day. Have your cup of tea, read a magazine, It's pretty awesome. Well, let's, yeah, I'm going to set this aside and get back to this drawing. Well, here we have my version of the Ghostrider, but more along the lines of it being a goose, or, well, a gosling. And, of course, we've all heard that Ryan Gosling will most likely be the next Ghostrider. So I wanted to do sort of a second part to this. Here I have, the Goose Rider raising their fist. Now, the ink that I use is water soluble, and it's kind of difficult to play around with this using different inks and water because it will run all over the place. So we're going to try something kind of fun here. Here I have some whiteout strips, and I'm going to go over the top of certain parts of this. I'll open up my inkwell here beside me and see what we can do, if we can add something to it. Now, I talked a little bit in the last video of the Ghostrider having a chain that it uses, or I should say that it uses. Should I keep it as an it? I don't know, but the Ghostrider is the spirit of vengeance. I'm going to use this, see if I can add some chain in here somehow, and go from there. It's a great way to ruin a picture or add something to it. So I have my pen. I'm just going to put the cap on it just for safety's sake. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add a little bit of this whiteout over the top. I'm going to do it in little segments. Now, I don't know if it's necessary to have force perspective all the time, like that for the foreground. I don't know what you want to call that. There's a special name for that. It'll pop into my head probably in a moment. Foreshortening, let's say. But the idea here is that perhaps some part of this chain is going to get a little bit closer to us. You'll notice that Spider-Man, for example, a lot of the drawings that you see with Spider-Man, you'll have his proportions looking kind of wonky, if that's even a great word to use. And that's a really interesting thing to do perspective-wise. Back here, this is going to be the weird and wonderful thing. I'm going to see if I can twist the chain a little bit so that it goes in behind the flaming head and then come back out around. Just a little bit. That's exciting. This is kind of a free form thing that I'm doing here. Come on. Now, I think the chain of the Ghostrider, rather than being kind of like that, you know, the square link style, I think it should be a motorcycle chain. And I'm surprised that it hasn't been set up that way. Now, that's just my own way of thinking. Why not? I just think it's cool. The motorcycle chain. So, we're going to start off kind of small here. Just so you can see what I'm up to, let's zoom in on that. Oh, yes. Now, I get that drawing chains can be time-consuming. And that's fine. We need the chain to get a little bit bigger each time through. Now the jump might be getting too much here. That's okay. Remember, you are the one holding on to the pen. So it can move the way you want it to. And what's funny is, I'm drawing this from memory, so I'm probably making a mistake because I probably should have even looked at the chain. That's okay. Hopefully, you get the concept of what I'm up to. I don't really like whiteout so much. It's I mean, I like showing mistakes, but the use of it right now, I kind of like, because it allows me to go back to the drawing. All these other spaces that you see here, I can turn into something else here. For example, they could be, in some ways, flames. Flamin' chains, man. Flamin' chains. That's wild. I've talked about this more than a few times, but I really do think that Todd McFarlane's influence on Spider-Man has been remarkable. Now I'm going to add some other sort of chain loopings there for the underside of that soon enough. But I should be doing that as I go, just because it's probably easier. but I didn't feel like it, and I didn't think about it. Same thing, right? Let's go a little bit underneath here then. Immédiatement. Back here, I didn't think I really needed to have that detail. It wasn't necessary for me. And as we get closer, we can use more detail. So that it makes sense in some ways. I think Ryan Gosling as the Ghostrider will be pretty good. Nicolas Cage as the Ghostrider was pretty good. You know, some of those standalone kind of movies that didn't link up, there really wasn't like an MCU happening at that point. I mean, it was just kind of getting started, so, you know, Iron Man, we didn't really know that they were going to try to link up all these characters. Link, look at that, and I'm drawing chains here. Anyway. I think we've been fortunate to have had movies that run in a series that way, that, you know, somehow if one wasn't really successful, then, you know, they like to cancel stuff. All right, this is going to be kind of the final link, I think. I think. Oh, let me get that one in here. Okay, so that's those. Let's go up here to this one. Of course, these are back quite a bit further, so we're not nearly as worried about the detail of this one. We can just kind of whip them through. Let's not lose our way too much. Like little eights, little number eights hiding out back here. We want there to still be a distinction of sorts, that this chain is doing something. Oh, and I'm out of, I don't pay attention to the screen of the camera too often. I apologize for that. I should. All right. Let's kind of back this out just a little bit so you can see what the next bit of thing I'm doing here. So around this, I'm just going to add some sizzle. And really get rid of some of the squareness that I left behind and dropping this type of whiteout strip. So yeah, that's the ticket. And then we'll add a little bit of yellow and a little bit of orange, and we'll move past it because it doesn't need to go on forever and ever. That's too bad. Some of this chain could have been a little bit larger here in the hand, but that's okay. We are making it up as we go. It's fun to just see what happens when you're playing around in your sketchbook. So again, I'm getting rid of some of those little square edges as much as I can. Let them disappear just a little bit. Yes. This is part of the jacket back here. Not a whole lot of stuff going on with that. All right. Next, the bunny pen. Let's go to yellow. And I'm just going to swoop in a few little bits and pieces of some scalloping. And it doesn't have to be beautiful. Probably better if it isn't. And some of these open parts of the link, I'm going to be crafty, and I'm going to put orange in the open links because I think it deserves that. If the chain is lit up. Or maybe I should just go right to red. Wouldn't that be fun? But the orange in the bunny pen here is pretty dark. So let's zoom in on this just a little bit here to some of these links. And we'll go to the orange. Let's put that in, see what happens. Oh, yes. Just scribbling as well for the outside of it. So I hope you're drawing as much as you can. It's a little early yet for me to say this, but of course we are going to take part in Inktober, which is following the prompts of some cool ideas. I'm not sure what it is yet. I don't even know if it's been released yet. But every day for the month of October, you would grab your pen and some ink, or an ink pen, or what have you, and you would draw every day. And it would be lots of fun. And I only do it for 10 minutes at a time because that's the challenge that I like to do. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Now I'm just going to put a couple of scratches in on the rest of this and then kind of let this whole thing disappear. I'm going to revisit it with my, oh, look at that, I got ink on my fingertip. But it is water soluble, so I can just go wash that away. So this chain might illuminate some part of the jacket, but we're not really as concerned about that as much. This is a pretty extreme looking coat here. Just roughing out some stuff. Well, final little bits will be just some quick little details on the chain itself. And like I said, I kind of like the idea of it being motorcycle chain links more so. All right. Well, folks, I think that's all I really want to do with that. There might be a couple other things, I suppose, down the road, and I don't know how much more of the porch goose concept thing I'm going to deal with. It's a neat idea. I might revisit it every once in a while, and if you have any ideas that you'd like to see a porch goose dressed up as, well, you know, for fun, that's something you can put in the comments, and maybe I'll visit that, and that could be an interesting thing to just try out and see what kind of pops out of my head. I think that might be it. I might have done everything I felt like doing with this. All right. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for subscribing and watching some of my silly long form videos and whatnot. We'll see you again. All right. Ciao for now.